All right, so we'll try this again. We're on page 7 talking about scaled copies. You'll notice these little icons in your book. If you have your iPad and you want, just scan that, and it's going to take you to a little interactive spot where you can slide pictures. So if you have your iPad, go ahead and scan that. And it's going to show you 5 different pictures that's got a little drag icon on it, where you can adjust the pictures. Okay, so we need to figure out which one are scaled copies. So as you're moving those around, and they're going to look very similar to what you see on page 8. What do you notice those little dials as you move them? What is that doing to the picture? Making them bigger or smaller, right? Changing the size. Bigger or smaller. A scale factor can be bigger or smaller, can make whatever object you want bigger or smaller. But we need to figure out which one are scaled copies. Okay, so after you're done playing around with that, you can go ahead and put your screens down again on your iPads. And we're on page 8. How is each one of these the same or different than the original? Again, I encourage you to take good notes. These are your notes and you can use these on the test. Okay? How is each one the same? Let's answer that first. How is each one of those the same? Same person. Okay, same person. Can we list one more thing that makes it the same? Other than it's the same person.
They are both, I forget the word now.
Yep.
They all have 4 sides.
They all have 4 sides.
Yeah, that's good.
I'd agree with that. So same person and 4 sides. Okay, how about something that's different? Kinley, you see anything that's different there?
Some of them are like slanted and like smaller than the original one.
Okay, so how can we say that? It's angle or slanted. Kellen? Different shapes and sizes? I agree with that. You might say there are different angles. Okay, so if it does ask us for how are they same or different, I would probably like 2 reasons. Okay, if you can find them. Number 2, some of the portraits A through E are scaled copies. Which ones do you think are scaled copies? So it's asking you what you think, so you can't really get this wrong. Which ones do you feel are scaled copies? Read.
I'm gonna go with A and B.
A and B?
Yeah.
Reed says A and B, and then I would say why. Why do you think A and B are correct? Now that might not be the correct answer, but I just want Reed's opinion.
Well, I can't speak. Just give me seconds. I'm gonna go with A and B because well, they're not like changing like the angles or anything.
Okay, not changing the angle. Okay, what do you think?
C and D because they're the same except one's just smaller.
Okay, what do you mean by the same?
Like they're angles.
Because they're all the same person.
They weren't like squished or
Okay.
anything different. They're just one smaller than the other.
Okay, so here's going to be a key word for you. Distorted, fuzzy, stretched. Okay? The picture needs to look the same as the original to be a scaled copy. Okay, if I take a picture of you and I just stretch it, you're going to be taller. If I just expand it widthwise, you're going to be wider. It needs to look the same as the original. So which ones look the same as the original? Same picture, the guy doesn't change. Boston. C and D is correct. C and D is correct. They are not distorted. They look exactly the same. They're just a different size. So however you'd like to say that. But C and D is correct. They're the same person. Just a different size. Not distorted at all. Okay, so what do you think scaled copy means? Okay, scaled copy changes size, but not the shape. Change in size, but not the shape. So that means if I start with a rectangle picture or just a rectangle, I better end with a rectangle. If I start with a triangle, it better still look like a triangle. Just going to be a different size. If I start with the letter, as you see on the next one, it better still look like that letter. Okay, it better still look like the letter. So here's our original. And it gives us 7 different copies. Question number 1. Identify all the drawings that are scaled copies. So I'll give you a second to write down the ones that you think are scaled copies. And then we will discuss it. Which one of those 7 look like the original? Does anybody see any we can eliminate that we know for sure won't work? Cameron?
4.
4, definitely not. That doesn't look like the same one. Jonas? 6. Notice how these 2 lines are the same length. That doesn't look like the original. 3. That doesn't even look like the letter F there yet.
5.
Why 5? All right, we will talk about the length of that. 5 does look close, but we'll figure out here in a minute why it doesn't work. Your answer is all the ones that should work are 1, 2, and 7. What should I write for explain how I know? They're the same shape,
But different size.
just a different size. It does say explain, be sure you do that. They're the same shape, just a different size. All right, question number 2. Examine all scaled copies more closely. Specifically, the length of each part of the letter F. How do they compare with the original? What do you notice? So, I'm going to look at every side of the original and I'm going to write down its length. So the left side, how tall is that letter? 4. Top part of the F, how tall is it? 2. The little line on the F? 1. Okay, how about drawing 1? Brody, why don't you give me the height?
6.
Brody S, the top. 3. And what would you say for this one? Kellen? 1.5. Okay, drawing 2. Looks like it's 2, 4, 6. Height of 8. Top is 4. Middle part of the F is 2. And 7. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Height of 12. Top is 6. Middle is 3. Okay, so question number 2 says, how do they compare? So let's look at drawing 7 first. How do I get from the original to drawing 7? What did I do to those numbers? Multiply by 3. So that means this one has a scale factor of 3. That means it's 3 times bigger than the original. 4 times 3, 2 times 3, 1 times 3. Scale factor of 3. And whenever you're dealing with scale factor, it's always multiplying. Never say you add 1, add 2. It's always multiplying. Let's look at drawing 2. From the original, how much bigger is drawing 2? Molly, what do you think? How do I get from 4 to 8? 1 to 2, 2 to 4. 2 times. I took all of those times 2. So the scale factor for drawing 2 is 2 because it is 2 times bigger. Notice you have to do it to every side. Okay, you have to do it to every side. That's why 5 doesn't work. I go from 1 to 2 here, that means I double it. If I double the top, I should have 4 and not 3. That's why 5 does not work. So 1 is a little trickier. How do I get from 4 to 6? 2 to 3? Or 1 to 1.5? It's the same answer for all of them. What am I multiplying by? And this might be the easiest one to look at. 1 to 1.5. 1 times what is 1.5? Maverick? 1 times what is 1.5? Got a guess? 1 times what? 1 times something is 1.5. Help 'em out, Jonas? 1.5. 1 times 1.5 is 1.5. 2 times 1.5, what do you think that is? 3. 4 times 1.5, what do you think that is? 6. So that is a scale factor of 1.5. Drawing number 1 is 1.5 times bigger than the original. Okay, so we just answered number 2. And again, make sure you note multiplying. Okay, so number 3 on the next page, page 10. Got 4, 2, and 1. I'm just going to transfer those over so I know the height still. And it wants me to come up with a different scale copy. So what do you want to multiply those numbers times that we haven't already seen?
If we can do it 10.
Okay, I'm not going to draw a 40 blank, so I don't think I got that room.
Yeah.
You could do times 10, but you need a height of 40 then. 8, I don't know if, do I have 32 blanks there? 4? Let's try 4. So what's 4 times 4? 16. So I need to draw 16 for a height. Okay, so there's my height. And again, you said a scale factor of 4. What would my top be? 8. 2 times 4. 2, 4, 6, 8. Now here's where it's a little tricky. I don't know exactly where to put my bottom line. Brody H, what do you think? What's that? Halfway? Okay, here's the way to figure it out. How far apart are these two lines? 2. So how far apart should it be here? 4 times bigger. 2 times 4. So 8 down. 2, 4, 6, 8. So it's going to be right here. And how far do I make it? 1 times 4. So there's my letter F. 4 times bigger. Now, could I have made it smaller?
Yeah.
Let's say I would have taken this one times a half, because I don't want to go all the way to 16. Half is big. Take it times a half. So what's half of 4? 2. Half of 2? 1. Again, here they're 2 apart. How far are they apart going to be on half as big? They're going to be 1 apart. And how big do I make it? Half. Okay, so you have that option as well. Now, it only told you to make 1, so 1 would have been just fine. But I just wanted you to realize it can be bigger or smaller to be a scale factor. Okay, question number 3 on page 10. Jada, would you read the directions there, please?
Your teacher will give you a set of cards that have polygons drawn on a grid. Mix up the cards and place them all face up.
Okay, go ahead and read number 1 as well.
Take turns with your partner to match a pair of polygons that are scaled copies from one another.
All right, so I wanted to put you in groups and have you do this. See if you can find the matches. Hopefully I can get a couple on the screen here. And my question is just going to be, are they scaled copies of each other? So do you feel that E and I are scaled copies? If they are, everything needs to be multiplied by the same number. Okay, so we can just do this one together. If this is 1 and this same side is 2, what should my scale factor be? 2, it should be double. That means every side should be doubled. So what's the height of this one, the top piece? So double would be 8. This side is 1. So doubled would be 2. This side would be 1. So doubled would be 2. What's the total height of this one? So the total height should be 4. So once you check all those things, do you think we can say those 2 are scaled copies of each other? Yes. So E and I here would be, and again, you don't have those in front of you. So how about that one? And this one. Again, the same question. Do you think they are scaled copies of each other? Faith, what do you think? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Can you say why?
Because on the right side, it's 1 on A, and on B, it's still 1.
Okay. So let's just pick one side that are the same. Those are called corresponding sides. They're in the same spot. You'll learn about that more tomorrow. But the height here is 1, so here it is 2. So every side should be doubled. So let's look at the top. Top is 3. Top should be, so far it looks good. That's doubled. But the part that Faith noticed, here it's 1. What should it be here? 2. That's why you have to check every side. If you just check these first 2, you're going to say we're good. It's double the size.
It actually it does the same thing on the bottom, and to the left it has a height of 1.
Yeah, 1 and 1. Both of those would have to be doubled for that to be double the size. So these 2 are not scale copies of each other. Yeah, I'll give you one more. What do you think?
It is not because the bottom right has 4 on the bottom and only 3 on the top of the
Okay,
upper one.
so let's check it. This would be 2, right? This is 3. So how much bigger should it be? 2 times what? Remember, you can't just say add 1. 2 times what is 3? 1.5. So this should be 1.5 times bigger. Let's check it. Top is 4. What's 4 times 1.5? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks good so far. This looks to be 1.5. 1 point something. So what's 1.5 times 1.5? Is that 2? Is 1.5 times 1.5 2? It is not. So I would also say it is not a scaled copy. Remember, it's got to be true for every side. Any questions on that, guys? All right, I want to give you a little work time today, so you can just write skip by this "Are you ready?" We will skip that one today. Again, the good summary on the bottom of page 11 tells you what scaled copy is, and on page 12, looking at the letters, which one looks like it's scaled copies, the Y or the W's?
The Y's.
The Y's are scaled copies. They all still look like a Y. The W's change shape. If it changes shape, it cannot be a scaled copy. So your homework is page 13 and 14. If it says explain, be sure you do that. Number 1 and number 2 says explain. Okay, so you got about 10 minutes to work. That will be due when? Tomorrow. That is correct.